Turkey, which was not a direct combatant force, started attacking targets this weekend. The U.S. is urging some of the factions to halt attacks, particularly urging Turkey to stop hitting the Kurds and Russia to stop hitting everybody. It seems inevitable that the fighting is going to keep going right up until the deadline, and in some cases a little bit afterwards. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports 2 tourists walking across the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco said they were hit in the leg with blow darts in what police said appear to be separate random attacks. A man and a woman told California Highway Patrol officers they'd separately been hit while walking southbound on the east side of the bridge, one in the thigh, the other in the knee. The man stopped an officer on the bridge saying he'd been hit in the thigh by a dart, which went through his jeans and into his skin. The man had already removed the dart from his leg, and officers said it appeared to have been fired from a blowgun. While the man was talking to the officer, a woman walked up and reported that she had been hit in the kneecap by a similar dart. Both darts were about 5 inches long, with one end sharpened to a point and the other covered with a plastic cap. The darts will be tested for chemicals, and police are investigating whether either of the shootings was captured on video. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend a Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend a Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. Reuters reports residents of much of the northeastern United States woke up on Sunday to bone-chilling cold conditions that shattered Valentine's Day records in Boston, Hartford, and Providence. Officials warned residents to stay indoors in the face of the negative 9-degree Fahrenheit temperatures, which felt as cold as negative 40 degrees with the wind chill. Forecasters warned that frostbite could set in on exposed skin within minutes and urged residents to check on elderly neighbors. While the weather system brought intense cold to the region, little snow has fallen so far this winter, placing less stress on the roads and rails than last winter's record-setting 9 feet of snow in Boston. New York was also feeling the coldest weather it had experienced in a year, and Governor Andrew Cuomo urged people to stay inside. The cold put a damper on some couples' Valentine's Day celebration plans, with walks and other outdoor activities curtailed. Some, though, embraced the extremes, with more than 2,000 taking part in the Sea Isle, New Jersey annual Polar Bear Plunge, dipping into the icy Atlantic to raise funds for the city's revitalization. Police throughout the region sought out the homeless to urge them to spend the night in shelters where cots, mats, and even chairs were rolled out to give people a place to shelter from the cold. But Kevin Taylor, a 49-year-old native of Massachusetts living on the streets in Harvard Square outside Boston, said he had coped with the cold on his own. Taylor said, "I got a 0-degree sleeping bag and fleece blankets. I was born and raised in New England. I'm used to it. I'll start breaking tomorrow." Forecasters said temperatures around Boston would rise to 29 degrees Fahrenheit on Monday. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. It's really not creepy that little kids mindlessly recite this anthem every day and pledge their life to a government before they're old enough to really think about what they're saying. This is not a form of brainwashing. This is really the greatest country in the whole world. All the other countries suck. And if this country ever goes to war, as it often wants to do, I promise to help go and kill all the other countries' kids. God bless GE. God bless Citigroup. Amen.
Very good, kids. Now come and get your Ritalin.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. The toll-free number for you, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Maybe you want to comment on Valentine's Day. I know it's a day late. We were live on Valentine's Day, but we didn't actually discuss anything Valentine's Day related. Darryl, you and I are both single.
Yes.
So we didn't really have anything to do on Valentine's Day, although I believe that you should express love for the person that you care about every single day. The idea that one day should specifically be set aside for it, I think, is pretty silly. And it's I think the history of it is the history of Valentine's Day that it was created by the companies, like the candy and card companies, or is that just Halloween?
I
That's
think
Valentine's
both
Day,
of
right?
them, both of them to some extent. You know, like there were certainly celebrations that happened. I forget what the pagan celebration is that happens from February 13th through the 15th. But yeah, Saint Valentine, he was a Catholic guy that wound up getting sainthood, so that's where the name Valentine Day comes from. Is it's a Catholic holiday that in a lot of respects sort of co-opted the pagan holiday and Christianized it, if you will.
So you're welcome to comment on that, because apparently more people are now meeting online than ever before. And Darryl, you had a story about that. Also, some people are turning to snuggling with strangers, according to the Star Tribune, startribune.com in Minnesota. And this is going on in other places besides Minnesota as well.
And people are doing a lot more than just snuggling with strangers.
Well, yes, that's true. But if you pay for sex with a stranger, then it's, generally illegal. And I don't even know. They are talking about professional snugglers here in this particular case. And this is a discussion we've had previously on the program. After a few hours of conversation in a room at a Super 8 motel in Roseville, Marissa Weiss fell asleep with a man's arm around her waist. The man, however, was not her boyfriend. In fact, they had met only hours before. Weiss, who's 22, is a professional snuggler for $80 an hour.
$80.
She would cuddle, comfort, and caress for a fee. There's no undertone or hidden message, said the college student from River Falls, Wisconsin, who quit the side gig in January to focus on her classes. She says, it's just platonic cuddling. The clothes may stay on, but the cuddle movement is taking off in the Twin Cities area. Interest in non-sexual touching is accelerating with newer online companionship services and cuddle apps that make it easier to get a cuddle fix. Then,
never knew there was an app for that.
I didn't know that either. Then there's I wonder if sounds like there's more than one app for that. Then there's the Cuddle Party, where once a month a few dozen pajama-clad people gather in a South Minneapolis living room for a cuddle workshop of sorts. While cozying up to a stranger might sound weird and paying for it might sound fishy, cuddle proponents say its benefits are vast. Cuddling releases oxytocin, the love hormone, which can ward off depression and loneliness, reduce pain, and even lower blood pressure, according to research.
So I just opened up the Google Play Store and typed in the word cuddle, and I'm seeing several on here. The top one is Cuddle Me, and then there's something that just appears to be quotes called Cuddle Quotes and Cuddle Swing, Cuddle Cloud.
So Cuddle
Hugs
Me,
and Cuddle.
I wonder what Cuddle Me is. Is it like is it like an Airbnb for cuddling? Like connecting people who want to cuddle with people who are willing to cuddle?
No,
For
I
a price?
wish that it were something like that. It apparently just allows you to send pictures and you cuddle the picture.
That doesn't count. That must not be
No.
what they're referring to here. We'll see if we can figure out. Oh, here it is. Spooner. Spoonr. It's the Tinder of snuggling apps. They'll tell us about that here in just a moment. The argument for human touch is particularly poignant in our culture now because we don't go shake hands and sit with people as often as we used to, said Chandler Yorkhall, integrative medicine practitioner at Abbott Northwestern Hospital in Minneapolis, further saying, quote, research bears out that touch is as important as food. Medicine doesn't have everything we need. We can also benefit from things that touch into our primal human needs, such as human touch. Spooner, the Tinder of snuggling apps, was launched in September and now has more than 300,000 downloads.
That's not what the Google Play Store is showing me.
What is it showing you?
10,000, and the rating is 2.7.
Yikes, that's no good. The location-based app allows users to find people nearby who also want to cuddle. A recent search within 20 miles of Minneapolis turned up 96 users. In Portland, cuddle enthusiasts gathered last Valentine's Day for CuddleCon, a cuddling convention. National car service Uber is getting in on the snuggle phenomenon, too, by delivering kittens to people in cities, including Minneapolis, for a 15-minute snuggle.
Kittens?
Apparently. Seems like a strange thing to cuddle with.
Yes.
Generally, when I think of spooning or cuddling, I think of someone of a similar size to me.
Similar species, at least.
Snuggle with. In Virginia, a goat cheese farm was inundated with responses to its request for volunteers to, you guessed it,
cuddle goats.
Snuggle with baby goats. That's a little weird.
What?
Cozying up to a furry animal is a no-brainer, but spooning a stranger? I gotta say I think it's a little weirder to snuggle with a goat than it is a stranger.
And the thing that still baffles me...
whatever floats your boat.
Right. If you want to cuddle a canoe, go for it.
Yeah.
Speaking of floating boats.
Sorry, you were saying.
But the thing that baffles me is that people seem to be really, perplexed by this.
What do you mean? Who is perplexed?
The people writing these articles of, can you believe that people are snuggling strangers? Well, let me tell you something. People go to the bar and do a lot more intimate things with strangers. People go on Tinder and do a lot more intimate things with strangers. So, hugging a stranger is not that unusual.
Yeah, no, maybe it is unusual because now it's easier than ever to connect with someone who's willing to do this. Before, you might just be lonely. Now you can pay somebody, or I'm not sure if everyone on this Cuddler, or what is it called, Spooner? I'm not sure if everyone on Spooner is doing it for free, or if it's people who are offering their snuggling services for $60 or $80 an hour. I remember when we talked about this a few years ago on the program, it was around $60 an hour at some places, but sounds like 80 is the going rate in others, which that seems like a lot of money just for snuggling.
Yeah.
But I guess if, there aren't that many people willing to snuggle for money, then, the market will bear what the market will bear. And, maybe you pay more for snuggling with a pretty college girl than you would for a lady in her 60s or something like that.
Yes.
Doesn't really have it anymore. Our toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Are you a professional cuddler? Or have you ever been to a professional cuddler? And do you want to kind of talk about what the experience was like? You're certainly welcome to join us here as we continue with the story. So your call, this is Chandler Your Call, the integrative medicine practitioner, says, it totally makes sense to me. It makes you feel better. It's a fix in a weird way. Professional snugglers say they have to be open to snuggling people of all kinds and know how to respond to clients who've suffered trauma or who try to cross the line. The blurry nature of for-hire cuddling, part massage, part companionship, can lead to disappointed customers and unorthodox requests. Cuddling professionals say one female professional snuggler turned down a male client's request to wear black nylons. Another male client with a tragic story of abuse and neglect just wanted to hold hands and talk. Research shows that babies fail to thrive without physical touch and connection to others. Adults without human touch can experience depression and loneliness.
So it seems to me that this is really a kind of therapy in a lot of ways. To where, somebody, they don't want to necessarily go to a psychiatrist because then, there's all the stigma associated with that.
What do those cost per hour? A couple $100?
Probably.
Probably more than 80.
You go find somebody, and the one guy just wanted to hold hands and talk.
Yeah, that's true.
That's therapy.
Let's continue, because this is therapy in more than one way, right? It's therapy in that you're getting human touch if you don't normally get it, and that can help you feel better. 855-450-FREE, that's our toll-free number. This is Free Talk Live.
All right, listen up, because this is the most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses without any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Ely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit-selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away 5,000 free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-961-8439. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-961-8439. 1-800-961-8439.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website, fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at lrn.fm? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at lrn.fm. That's lrn.fm.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us right here, toll-free. The number for you is 855-450-FREE. Have you ever engaged in professional cuddling? Have you been a client of a professional cuddler? Are you a professional cuddler? It's been a couple of years, I think, few years since we've actually talked about this. It was in the news a little while back as sort of like the new thing that was popping up here and there. And I remember part of the story previously was that some local jurisdictions were cracking down on the professional cuddling,
Yeah, they were claiming that it was a front for prostitution.
And of course, the people who are these professional cuddlers are saying that is not the case at all, that this is, strictly platonic, I believe was the term used.
Yes.
That it was not a sexual thing. At least that was the intention. If a client wants to try to turn it sexual, they're supposed to be rejected and told, get out of here. You're not welcome. This is not a whorehouse. So we're going to continue that discussion. You can also join us here toll free at 855-450-FREE and bring up anything you want. Plus, you can join us in real life at the Liberty Forum. It's coming up this week, and it's coming up fast. We're talking about Thursday is when it kicks off. So just days away now, February 18th through the 21st. Manchester, New Hampshire at the Radisson Hotel. We'll be there broadcasting live on Thursday night, Saturday night, Friday night, the whole time. We'll be there every single night. We'll look forward to seeing you. But it's not just about seeing Free Talk Live. In fact, we're just a sideshow. The real show is Edward Snowden. He's going to be the keynote speaker on Saturday, but also lots of other great panel discussions and other speeches being given. I'll be participating in, I believe, a media panel of some sort. And there's going to be all kinds of different stuff going on. So go to NHLibertyForum.com. You can check out the schedule there. Darryl, you and I, we're going to be manning a booth and doing some outreach and connecting with people who are there. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's really all about meeting your future neighbors. If you are considering moving to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project, you'll get to meet a few hundred people who might very well be your neighbors when you move to New Hampshire. And, of course, the Free State Project is a movement, a migration, if you will, of 20,000 liberty-loving people who, like you and I, Darryl, care about freedom and are willing to actually pick up their lives and move to be among others who feel the same way and get active. The Liberty Forum focuses in on that and that community that we have here, and it's really a great excuse to come up and check out New Hampshire during the coldest part of the year. Come on up and
coldest weather we've had in a year.
Yeah, it's pretty chilly this week here. Warmed up a little bit today, but not so much compared to a lot of other places. NHLibertyForum.com. This is not for the faint of heart. You got to be a hardcore liberty activist to move up here. Those are the kind of people we want to join the Free State Project. So tickets, I believe, are no longer available online, but you can still go to NHLibertyForum.com. You can still see the schedule and then just show up in person, and you can buy your tickets at the door. Obviously, you got to pay more because you procrastinated, but if you only can make it up for a day or two, just come up for the day or two. You don't have to be there the whole weekend to enjoy and to appreciate the fun that we have at the Liberty Forum. It's basically going to be a big celebration for the Free State Project because it has the Free State Project recently completed its goal of 20,000 signers, 20,000 people who've pledged to move here and to get active. So please join us, NHLibertyForum.com. It starts Thursday, and looking forward to it. So back to the cuddling for hire, the story from StarTribune.com. It's talking about specifically focusing on what's going on in Minnesota, but they're saying this is a nationwide trend and that there are even apparently apps that you can download that will allow you to connect with other people who are willing to cuddle with you. But, asks the article, can intimacy be bought? Because we're talking about spending $60 to $80 an hour to hire someone to cuddle with you, and that's what's going on here. Lauren Fogel says not exactly. She is a psychologist and certified sex therapist for the Alina Health Clinic in downtown Minneapolis. She said, quote, I think people need to be mindful about what their intentions or needs are before pursuing something like professional cuddling. It's an unlikely means for intimacy, but perhaps a temporary means for comfort. The harm is when those two concepts become confounded. Many proponents of platonic cuddling, says the story, are keenly aware that paying for cuddle time leads skeptics to assume that there's more than meets the eye. Snuggler Andrea, one of the professionals in the Minneapolis area, says, quote, sex is easy and sex is cheap, but it's more valuable to have a close connection. Everyone needs touch, and some people just aren't lucky to have the traditional venues for that. Now, of course, it would figure that the psychologist would be the one who is saying, well, I don't know about all this, right? Because you said that this is essentially acting as therapy for people when they can, be around somebody who's going to listen to them, somebody who's going to talk to them, and someone who's willing to actually touch them, which goes further than a therapist, right? Because a therapist just sits there on a couch or whatever, and then, they take notes and ask you questions. At least that's my understanding from watching the movies. I've never actually been to one. But, that's what you see, and you don't get snuggling along with your therapy. So one could argue that even though these snugglers, these professional snugglers, aren't paid as far. Well, they're paid, but they're not trained professionally.
They're not trained psychiatrists or trained psychologists necessarily.
Unless they are.
Somebody very well could be, a trained psychiatrist or psychologist,
right?
And
maybe they could
decide
charge
to
more.
go into the cuddle business because they realize that there's a need that needs filled,
right?
And people might be. I still think there's a lot of people that are hesitant to call up a psychiatrist just because of the stigma that's associated with it. Well, not only just the stigma, but in addition to the stigma, there's also some legal repercussions that may come with going to a psychiatrist, to where in some places you might not be able to defend yourself the way you want if you have a history of going to a psychiatrist. Because
how would anyone know about that? I mean, that's a private thing, right? Your medical history isn't supposed to be public. I mean, how would anyone
mental
find
health
out?
records are very much part of when they do background checks on people for
psychiatrists report their clients to some sort of system?
There are certain things that if there's certain diagnoses, then those have to be reported in certain government things.
Oh, wow.
And then people aren't allowed to wind up owning certain weapons to defend themselves.
Yeah, that sounds like a really bad idea then, to go to one of those people. Whereas this professional snuggler isn't going to report you to anybody. They're going to take the cash and call it a day.
Right. And then there are also people that, instead of going to a professional snuggler or a psychiatrist, they go to the bar and they sit down and they talk to the bartender and drink all night.
Yep, that's true. Andrea, who's 23, withheld her last name to preserve her privacy, said most of her clients are men in their 50s. She says, quote, they're successful businessmen who are lacking touch in their lives. She gets clients through Snuggle Buddies, a New Jersey-based cuddling business with a roster of 125 snugglers. The company takes in half of each freelancer's fee. Whoa! That seems ridiculous. I mean, that's like almost pimp-level ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's insane. I mean, that sounds like an open opportunity for somebody to make a better app or a better website or whatever. Really? This girl is in Minneapolis. She's got to use a company in New Jersey to find her clients right there in Minneapolis? I don't believe it. I mean, there's got to be a better way to do that. I mean, I understand that if you were to advertise on like Backpage.com or something, you're probably going to get the people that want sex. So, how do you promote this business without the expectation of, it's just a front for prostitution and getting all those clients through the door? You don't want those guys, right?
Facebook.
855-450 free. But Facebook, you mean buying an ad on Facebook? Maybe so. 855-450 free. We continue with Professional Cuddling. It's Free Talk Live.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio waves. We're talking about professional snuggling. It's back in the news. Minnesota, over at StarTribune.com, they've got a detailed piece about the sort of the ins and outs of it, and specifically the idea that there are some people who believe that it's supposed to be a front for prostitution. And how do you really prove that? I mean, I guess that's, I suppose you could put a camera in there and publish the footage of the snuggling, but I don't suspect many of the customers would appreciate having their privacy violated in that way.
True.
So I suspect there are probably undercover cops who are likely coming in and acting like potential clients and then attempting to negotiate for sex and in hopes of, finding someone who's willing to play ball in that area. And I suspect that if you were to go through enough professional cuddlers, you'd probably find one who's willing to do that.
If you went through enough people that did I will cook meals for you service, you would find somebody
who would have sex
that
with you?
would be willing to have sex with you for the right amount of money.
So I think that I tend to believe that this is just a cuddling thing, that is generally what goes on here. But it would be interesting to hear from somebody who's actually had some experience on both sides of this as a client and someone who's providing the snuggling service, who could make as much as $80 an hour at this, although if they go through one website, Snuggle Buddies, they'll lose half of that. The website takes 50% of each of the freelancer's fee, which I guess means he's raking in, according to Evan Karp, the founder, around $16,000 a month in revenue. On its website, the Karp outlines the rules, including, quote, all clients must sign an agreement that no sexual activity of any kind with snugglers will take place. If arousal happens, and it does, professional snugglers are directed to take a break or change positions. Thanks to the Cuddle Sutra, the unofficial handbook for many professional snugglers, there are seemingly endless cuddle poses. Cheek to cheek, come to papa, and sardines. I'm not really sure what those are. I bet you could Google them and find out. Despite clear expectations of platonic cuddling services, some people do cross the line. Quote, "We have procedures in place to deal with that," former cuddler Weiss said. She wasn't required to carry a weapon, but she was armed and carried a small blade with her. Nonetheless, she said the benefits of the profession outweigh the risks. During her first overnight appointment, her client lamented about his anxiety and depression before falling asleep next to her. Of course, just like anybody who gets paid hourly, an overnight is a pretty nice way to get paid. You can fall asleep with your client and wake up hundreds of dollars richer.
So I'm actually on the Snuggle Buddies website, and they do have a pricing page on their site where they set the prices. In the United States, it's $80 per hour, except in Alabama, Arkansas, Ohio, Oregon, Kansas, Kentucky, Missouri, Montana, North Dakota, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee, where it is $60. In Canada, it's $100 Canadian per hour.
Okay.
And in England, it is £50 per hour.
What stops
if you have
someone...
an overnight, 8-hour overnight, which includes approximately 5 hours of sleeping, is $330. A 10-hour overnight that is approximately 6 hours of sleeping is $400.
Can you imagine getting paid $300 to go to sleep with somebody?
Oh, how about having a phone conversation that must stay friendly and platonic for $60 an hour?
Wow. Wow, that's crazy.
Yes.
So if you are interested in if you're doing this, I want to know more. If you are actually on the inside of the business, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. But what is it that prevents someone from, okay, I'm going to set up this snuggling business. I'm going to go through this website where this guy's jacking in 50% of the fee just to connect you with someone. You're going to meet the client in reality. It's not like this guy keeps the client in a pen and protects their identity or something like that. So you're going to meet the client at some point,
yes,
and you're going to snuggle with that client. What would prevent you from giving that person your business card and saying, "Hey, look, I know you're getting charged $80 an hour here. How about we do this for $60 an hour, and you just come straight to me. You just call me, and we'll, set an appointment."
I would guess there's probably some kind of contract that you sign. And looking on their FAQs, there is a client agreement.
Client agreement.
They have a contract, and let me pop open the contract, and there's probably a non-compete clause in said contract.
I suspect there's also an agreement not just for the clients, but also for the people who provide the snuggling services as well. But it would seem to be, sort of like with Uber. The Uber drivers are now handing out Arcade City information to their customers because they're independent contractors, and if they want to break their agreement and then do their own thing, they're certainly free to do that. I mean,
Clause 5 of the client services contract: all appointments must go through the Snuggle Buddies. For every new session, a call or email must be made informing the Snuggle Buddies. The Snuggle Buddies knows all appointment dates, times, and locations. Snugglers will check in after appointments to confirm they left safely. So it's in the contract that if you have an appointment with somebody, it must go through the Snuggle Buddies.
I think they'd have a difficult time detecting whether or not it went through Snuggle Buddies or not, right? Like if you set up an agreement with another client, a hush-hush, keep it quiet kind of agreement, and they just call you directly, there's no way Snuggle Buddies would know about that.
Right, but that sets up the prisoner's dilemma to where you're trusting that your client isn't notifying Snuggle Buddy, oh, yeah, hey, by the way...
Why would the client do that? They're saving money.
Right, but the client
also... If the client's
also...
paying $80 an hour to Snuggle Buddies and you tell them, okay, let's do it for $60, and then
I didn't say it's logical for them to do it. I'm just saying you're having to trust that they're not contacting the people, that they signed a contract that says all of my appointments will go through you.
Yeah, I guess. Just $50 seems like a ridiculous rate. And, if you were signing a contract with them, okay, fine, but you can break that contract. I mean, it's not like they're going to keep you in the Snuggle Buddy contract for all eternity. You're not signing, a note with the devil here, right? Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go on, though, from StarTribune.com. She says the benefits outweigh the risks. And she said, quote, I was honored to be able to help him at least a little bit. There was nothing fishy about it. One-on-one cuddling isn't your thing? Enter the Cuddle Party. In a Minneapolis living room, after paying a $20 fee, 9 pajama-clad adults spread out on a floor covered with blankets, pillows, and sleeping bags. Candessa Hadsall explained the norms, including getting verbal consent to touch, practicing saying no, and respecting boundaries. Quote, if you came to this cuddle party tonight thinking you were going to get to have sex with somebody here, I'm sorry, but I need to disappoint you and tell you that sex is not going to happen, she announced. That's a different kind of event. Hadsall is a registered nurse and became an official cuddle party facilitator in 2006, so she's been doing this for a decade. Cuddle Party is a national organization that requires a workshop to begin the party, so participants are clear that it is a non-sexual event. Quote, my goal is to teach people that cuddling doesn't have to be a sexual activity, Hadsall said. In our culture, you say cuddling and people think you're having an orgy. Amid a mix of strangers, and some friends from past cuddle parties, the mood was light and filled with laughter as each person shared why he or she was at the party. Thomas Stout said, quote, our society is deprived of touch. This idea that the World Wide Web connects us all, it separated us all because we don't see each other and talk to each other and touch each other. But wait a minute. Didn't you find out about the cuddle party from the internet? I mean, that's probably how you discovered this. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. In fact, one of them says, I found it on Meetup. You can find just about anything on meetup.com. So the internet is bringing people together in a way that they never would have otherwise known about. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We'll actually talk about the internet dating world. I guess it's on the increase. Darryl, You've got that story. And you can share your experiences with us here on Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Control, do you like mortgages? Negative, over. Do you like rockets? Affirmative, over. Do you like rocket mortgages? I'm listening, over. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that turns the entire mortgage process into a fast, powerful, completely online experience. Copy that, QL1. I'm going to go ahead and push this button in. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Any Jane Doe can tell you that Geico could help you save. But since money talks, we just ask the savings instead.
Greetings and sun salutations. I'm Jane's Money, and I never knew my self-worth until Jane switched her car insurance at Geico.com. Those 15 minutes built me up to real savings. Geico's been helping customers save money like me for over 75 years. So take that to the bank. And namaste.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine. so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. If you were going to be snuggling, paying someone to snuggle with you, would you prefer the single snuggler, or the cuddle party, where there could be several people snuggling together? Sounds like the cuddle party is more affordable. It's a $20 entry fee into the Minneapolis living room where it happens, and I suspect these things are going on elsewhere. There's apparently a national organization called Cuddle Party that sets these things up.
There have been cuddle parties at PorkFest before.
Yeah, and I wonder if drugs are involved at the cuddle parties in Minneapolis.
That's actually one of the rules, that you're not allowed to be on drugs at the cuddle party.
I don't know how they enforce that, but no, you mean the one at PorkFest or the one online?
That's one of the rules of the cuddle party organization, is no drugs, no alcohol.
Well, let's see here. I found it on Meetup, said Roseanne Zan Butler. You can just find just about anything on Meetup. Renee Nettie Petershik said, quote, "At my first cuddle party, there were 6 or 7 of us spooning. The oxytocin high can last a good couple of days. It's a good feeling," she says. As the group toppled into a puppy pile, the conversations varied. Children, grandchildren, careers. Much like an adolescent slumber party, some broke off into pairs or small groups. "I want a snuggle sandwich," Diane Long announced, turning to Becky Shipman. "Do you want to be the little spoon in front?" And that's the end of the story from StarTribune.com. I think it's pretty interesting, and I have to say that I support it. I mean, I think that people do need to have contact with other human beings. It's one thing to be able to talk to people, and that helps.
Right.
It helps you not be lonely, given that people are very social animals, and human contact is necessary for sanity, which is why when they want to punish you in jail or prison, they will take you away from human contact and put you in solitary confinement.
Yes.
Because they know that people do crave human interaction. And if people who are otherwise unable to get human touch are paying for it, I don't think that there's anything at all that's wrong with that. And I think I support it. Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. Now, if you're starting up your cuddle business, I would highly recommend you not go through some organization that wants to take 50% of your income, 50% of the $80 an hour that the clients are paying for this. I mean, not that $40 an hour is bad.
The rate is set by the company,
website.
and they don't even let you pay in Bitcoin.
Yeah, what a scam. So if you're going to be starting up your own snuggling business, you're going to need business cards, in which case you can get 500 of them for just $9.99 by using promo code FTL over at Vistaprint.com. Vistaprint, of course, great for small business owners. They have tons of custom products like business cards, postcards, flyers, banners, apparel, invitations, whatever it is that you need for your small home-based business. These guys can help you out over at Vistaprint.com. Plus, you start at just $9.99 for those 500 business cards, but if you want to upgrade the quality, you want a thicker stock, maybe a brilliant finish like metallic, spot gloss, or raised print, you can do all of that and obviously pay a little bit more. Vistaprint is super easy to use. Their customizer app thing on their website that you use to actually build your business card. You can do it from scratch. You can do it with a pre-designed logo. You can upload your own logo, customize the text, colors, backsides, more. What I did was I had a pre-designed graphic for my card. I uploaded the front, I uploaded the back, and I was done. And that's because I used my purchase to make custom cards for Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. So mine's a full-color card which advertises the movie that I produced, victimlesscrimespree.com. So that was helpful for me, and Vistaprint's the way I did that. You can go and get 500 business cards starting at just $9.99 by using code FTL, like Free Talk Live, code FTL at Vistaprint.com. Special offer for Free Talk Live listeners. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. Now, you probably aren't going to be able to date your professional cuddler. That is just a way for you to meet somebody and, spend some time with them and maybe talk to them. Maybe they, will listen to what you're saying, but do they really care? Well, I mean, certainly they will seem to care, but ultimately, if
obviously
you're not
they care a little bit,
Yeah.
otherwise they wouldn't be in the business to where they're dealing with people on such a personal level.
Yeah, that's true. And it is a bit of therapy. But, of course, if you're not paying $60 or $80 an hour, then all of a sudden you're not going to have any time with those people. So most people are going to want to move on beyond paying for a snuggler into a relationship. And the Internet is bringing people together in that way. And the story that you brought in tonight doesn't really seem like it should be a headline. This seems like it's the obvious that Internet dating has become a thing. In fact, it's been that way for the last decade plus, but now more popular than ever. Darryl, where's the story from?
A lot more popular. The story is from UPI, and it's based on information that they received from a Pew Research-centered study that found there's been a threefold uptick in young adults who have turned to online dating to find love. A total of 15% of American adults now report that they have used an online dating site or mobile app.
15?
Up from 11% in 2013.
I'm shocked at how low that is, Darryl. I figured it would be like 50%. And we're talking about young people?
Well, this is all adults.
All adults.
15% of all adults.
Okay.
And then they do break down demographics here in just a moment.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Specifically, 12% of American adults have used an online dating site, up from 9% in 2013. 9% of adults say that they've used a dating app on their cell phone, up from 3% in the last 3 years.
Huh.
The growth is attributed to an increased use among the youngest demographic, 18 to 24, and people over 50. The Pew Research Center report says today 27% of these young adults report they have done so. And this, again, is people that are admitting to it.
Yeah, is it embarrassing to admit that you've used OkCupid or Plenty of Fish or whatever the other websites are? Those are the free ones, so those are the ones I know about.
There are probably some people that would wind up being a little embarrassed by that. There are still people that don't admit to watching porn.
But why would you be embarrassed about trying to meet somebody outside of the sort of traditional channels of, going to a bar or something like that? Like, how else? Besides just meeting somebody along the course of your life, which I think is probably the best way to do it, when you encounter somebody at work or school or whatever. But, besides just meeting somebody through the normal course of things, going out to meet people on the, for the purpose of going out and meeting people seems like meeting at a bar is like the worst way to meet somebody.
Yes.
So besides meeting somebody through like a setup from a friend, right? So there's like the classic, oh, let's set up this friend with this friend. There's that kind of meeting.
Right.
There's the go out to the bar kind of meeting. There's the meeting somebody just in the normal course of life. And then there's online dating. What else is there? I mean,
not really anything I can think of.
They don't have like the classic. You remember the old dating services? Remember Mad TV's skit, Lowered Expectations?
Oh, right. So there used to be the video.
There used to be video dating. Right?
Yeah.
So this was before the internet, where you would go to an office somewhere and then they would record video of you saying, I'm so-and-so and I like this and that and I'm looking for someone who likes this and that. And then someone else who was looking for a date would come browse based on category or, interests or whatever.
Right.
And this was obviously before the internet, so I can't imagine those things exist anymore. I mean, maybe like every now and then, like sort of like porn stores still exist, but who really goes to those things?
Somebody does because they still exist.
Yeah, I mean, do these video dating services still exist? I'm just wondering what else there could possibly be. Is it what is the breakdown? If 24% of young people,
27% of young adults, those being 18 to 24, have reported that they've used either online dating or one of these cell phone apps. That's up from 10% in 2013.
That's
so
an incredible
it's almost
jump.
Tripled in 3 years. Meanwhile, the share of 55 to 64-year-olds using online dating has doubled over the same period of time.
Wow.
From 6% to 12%.
All right, that's significant.
About 41% of adults say they know someone who uses online dating, while 29% say they know someone who has married or entered a long-term relationship with someone they met through online dating. And to me, these numbers don't really seem to add up.
What do you mean?
Really that well. So what was it? 15% of all Americans say that they've used online dating, but 41% say they know somebody that is using online dating. So it seems rather strange to me that either they all know the same 15% of people that are using it, or a lot of people are using it and they're afraid to admit it for some reason.
When they're saying they know someone, they mean me.
I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. If you want to tell us your online dating nightmare or success story, it's Free Talk Live.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more.
It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, February 15th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.37 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,212 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $407. Antiwar.com reports last week a deal reached in Munich scheduled the start of a ceasefire in the Syrian civil war, which was set for the next few days. As is so often the case with these ceasefires that are set many days in the future, it has led to increased fighting in the interim. We've seen this time and again in ceasefires around the world, with the various factions pushing hard in the final days before the pause in hopes of seizing a little extra territory or taking a position that would give them strategic advantage when no faction ever says if the fighting resumes. To that end, Syrian troops seized a small village that overlooks a string of rebel-held Aleppo towns, while the rebels are pushing hard on several fronts. Even Turkey, which was not a direct combatant force, started attacking targets this weekend. The U.S. is urging some of the factions to halt attacks, particularly urging Turkey to stop hitting the Kurds and Russia to stop hitting everybody. It seems inevitable that the fighting is going to keep going right up until the deadline, and in some cases a little bit afterwards. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports two tourists walking across the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco said they were hit in the leg with blow darts in what police said appear to be separate random attacks. A man and a woman told California Highway Patrol officers they'd separately been hit while walking southbound on the east side of the bridge, one in the thigh, the other in the knee. The man stopped an officer on the bridge saying he'd been hit in the thigh by a dart, which went through his jeans and into his skin. The man had already removed the dart from his leg, and officers said it appeared to have been fired from a blowgun. While the man was talking to the officer, a woman walked up and reported that she had been hit in the kneecap by a similar dart. Both darts were about 5 inches long, with one end sharpened to a point and the other covered with a plastic cap. The darts will be tested for chemicals, and police are investigating whether either of the shootings was captured on video. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend a Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend a Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. Reuters reports residents of much of the northeastern United States woke up on Sunday to bone-chilling cold conditions that shattered Valentine's Day records in Boston, Hartford, and Providence. Officials warned residents to stay indoors in the face of the negative 9-degree Fahrenheit temperatures, which felt as cold as negative 40 degrees with the wind chill. Forecasters warned that frostbite could set in on exposed skin within minutes and urged residents to check on elderly neighbors. While the weather system brought intense cold to the region, little snow has fallen so far this winter, placing less stress on the roads and rails than last winter's record-setting 9 feet of snow in Boston. New York was also feeling the coldest weather it had experienced in a year, and Governor Andrew Cuomo urged people to stay inside. The cold put a damper on some couples' Valentine's Day celebration plans, with walks and other outdoor activities curtailed. Some, though, embraced the extremes, with more than 2,000 taking part in the Sea Isle, New Jersey annual Polar Bear Plunge, dipping into the icy Atlantic to raise funds for the city's revitalization. Police throughout the region sought out the homeless to urge them to spend the night in shelters where cots, mats, and even chairs were rolled out to give people a place to shelter from the cold. But Kevin Taylor, a 49-year-old native of Massachusetts living on the streets in Harvard Square outside Boston, said he had coped with the cold on his own. Taylor said, "I got a 0-degree sleeping bag and fleece blankets. I was born and raised in New England. I'm used to it. I'll start breaking tomorrow." Forecasters said temperatures around Boston would rise to 29 degrees Fahrenheit on Monday. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. In a landmark 5-4 decision issued this Wednesday, the Supreme Court ruled to allow Americans to cram cash directly into politicians' mouths. The ruling, which effectively eradicates former prohibitions against stuffing checks and stacks of $100 bills straight down the throats, ears, and other orifices of presidential and congressional candidates, is expected to fundamentally alter the ways American politicians have large quantities of money shoved right into their bodies.
In football music news this week, the 1985 Chicago Bears reunite to record their first new material since the Super Bowl Shuffle. The group says the new material will be darker and more introspective than its Shuffle-era work.
And in this week's op-ed pages, a man asks why, if God exists, doesn't he throw us like a really f***ing sweet party? In other news, an increasing number of men feel pressured to accept realistic standards of female beauty. FedEx confirms that more than 600,000 people try to mail themselves each year. And a recovering alcoholic doesn't need friends to have a good time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, launching into the second hour, talking about kind of human stuff tonight. It being the day after Valentine's Day. We didn't really get into any Valentine's Day stuff last night. We talked about cuddling so far tonight. The snuggle parties, or cuddle parties as they are called. Also professional snugglers making upwards of $80 an hour just to snuggle with someone, or even stay for an entire night with someone, but not involving sex. And I mean, I don't know what sex costs, but I suspect you can probably find someone who's willing to have sex for $80 an hour. So seems like a pretty good deal.
You could, if you look in the right place, find somebody willing to do that for free.
For less or free. Yeah, so it seems like actually a pretty good deal where you don't actually have to risk venereal disease and you still get paid, like, nice. You get paid a decent hourly rate. Seems like a pretty good job.
And based on the testimony that we heard during the legislative committee hearing that would actually wind up decriminalizing prostitution in New Hampshire, the women that work in prostitution have a lower rate of STIs than the general population.
Even in illegal prostitution?
Yes.
That's interesting.
That's the testimony that was reported by 3 different women that are themselves prostitutes.
I didn't know that they were prostitutes in, like, illegal areas or if they were prostitutes in legal areas.
The one lives in Rhode Island. The other 2 came from California.
I guess the idea is that they're just more concerned with protection, given the risks involved.
Right, because, you know, if you wind up, you know, getting all of your clients sick, you're not getting repeat customers.
Still to come, since we're talking about sort of just human stuff here tonight, people that, you know, things that almost everyone can relate to. Everybody wants to feel good. Everybody wants to have someone who's close to them, even if they're just paying the person. And then on the way here, the Myers-Briggs personality test doesn't actually mean anything, according to Huffington Post. We'll talk about that when we get a chance.
Interesting.
But, Darryl, you were sharing with us some interesting statistics about online dating. So we started out with professional cuddling, moving into online dating. And the headline, I had not seen this story, the headline saying that, you know, online dating is more popular
More
now
Americans
than ever.
dating online. Views on sex have shifted in the past decade.
And so I was surprised when it was only like 12% of all adults who have admitted to using online dating services.
15. Up from 12 in 2013.
Thank you. When you break down by age range, then you find out that younger people, like millennials types,
27%,
are a little more likely to date. But it seems like it should be higher than that. And you also cited another statistic where 40% of, was it all adults or only the millennial
41% of all adults said they know someone who uses online dating. And 29% said they know someone who has married or entered a long-term relationship with someone they met through online dating.
Now, I guess it could be true that those people aren't necessarily talking about themselves, and 40% of people, so, you know, roughly half of folks could know someone out of the 100+ people that they know who has used online dating. But I suspect you're right in that it is underreported as far as people, being honest with the surveyors.
Right. And even though online dating has become, more favorable as far as the way people view it, Americans still weigh the pros and cons. On the positive side, about 80% of Americans who use online dating or have used online dating said it was a good way to meet people. 62% said it allows people to find a better match. And 61% said online dating is easier and more efficient than other ways of meeting people. On the negative side,
I got to agree with that.
You also, basically work from home.
Yeah.
As do I in, some respects. So the people that we interact with every day is each other.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I'm not interested in you
we're on the phone
for dating purposes. Right, but no, I'm saying physical interaction.
Yeah.
Like we are our coworkers.
Yeah.
So we're not really
It's
meeting.
bad to date a coworker just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you were an attractive female, Darryl, it's generally just a bad idea. You typically want to cross that off your list because if things go wrong, then it gets a little awkward.
Right, but again, mentioning the other ways to meet people, and one of the things was in the course of your work.
Right.
So on the negative side, they report that 45% of online dating users agree that online dating is more dangerous, or rather a more dangerous way of meeting people. But they don't go into details here.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, again, I guess if you're meeting somebody at work, then you probably have some more knowledge of who that person is because you've had some prior experience with them. But as far as just meeting a stranger at a bar or meeting someone, I suppose if it was a setup, then it's someone else's friend who like if it's two friends of a friend or whatever who've been set up, then you could say, well, that person has vouched for that person, so they know them. But as far as like the traditional meeting a stranger, if you're meeting strangers, why would it be more dangerous online versus some creep in a bar?
Yeah, I don't know, other than people probably just buying into the fear of, well, there was that one guy that one time that killed people that he met on Craigslist.
Yeah, okay.
Look,
meet the guy in real meet whoever it is at a public place. Don't meet the online dating person in a back alley for your first date.
Right. 31% said that online dating keeps people from settling down because they always have more options. And 16% said that they believe
That's ridiculous.
People who use online dating are just desperate.
Wait, what? Which percent said they were
16%.
16%
said that they believe people who use online dating are just desperate. The report says overall, men and women who have used online dating tend to have similar views of the pros and cons, with one major exception relating to personal safety. 53% of women who have used online dating agree that it is more dangerous than other ways of meeting people, substantially higher than the 38% of male online daters who agree with the statement. So here we are, Ian. We're only disagreeing that it's more dangerous because of our male privilege.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they just don't feel as threatened.
In a separate survey done by OkCupid, they reported that between 2005 and 2015, the views of its users have shifted. In 2015, half of the people said they would consider having sex with someone on the first date, down 19% since 2005.
So fewer people now are likely to have sex sooner.
Fewer people now are more likely to answer the question in the affirmative that they are willing to have sex with someone on the first date.
So more people are willing to have sex on the first date?
No. So it's down. The number of people who answered the question in the affirmative is down
Okay,
19
so what I said
percentage points.
First was correct.
It's not necessarily that fewer people are actually willing to have sex on the first date. It's just that fewer people now are answering the question in the affirmative.
Well, presumably they're answering honestly, so
or not answering the question.
Mm-hmm.
So, like there are ways that you don't have to answer every question.
Okay.
So you could just skip the question.
Alrighty.
The survey, or not survey, but the report from OkCupid also on whether there was such a thing as having too many partners. About 52% of people in 2015 said yes. That's down 18 percentage points from 2005, so a more liberal shift on that side. on whether they could consider having a friendship based solely on sex with no further intent. 61% said yes. That's up 11% from a decade ago.
So wait, so 61% would consider it or are okay with it? What was the exact
would consider a friendship based solely on the horizontal tango.
And this is of all the site's users? This isn't a particular demographic?
All OkCupid users.
Interesting. And you would think you'd get something like that out of, what is it, Tinder? Which is more of like, seems like a have sex kind of app?
86% said that it was acceptable for a woman to talk openly about her sex life, up 15 percentage points from a decade ago.
That's a good one. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll talk more online dating. And if you've got a story you want to share about your experience in that world, we'd love to hear from you. Free Talk Live.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely risk-free with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now. 1-800-719-9349. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% risk-free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-719-9349. That's 1-800-719-9349. 1-800-719-9349.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Listen Lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. Following yesterday's huge increases, early Friday has gold $9 lower at $1,238 per ounce. Silver is down 4 cents at $15.77 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $382 US. Find out how you can diversify into physical gold and silver to protect yourself. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course you can join us here on the radio waves. Maybe you've got an online dating story you want to tell us. Maybe it turned out to be a disaster for you. Or maybe you got married to the person, or you're still with them in a long-term relationship.
Maybe you got married and then it turned out to be a disaster.
Those things can happen. But, do you blame online dating for it? What's your story? If you want to share it, you're welcome to join us here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also, the internet, since we're talking about that, was meant to be used, if you want, without oversight, anonymously. But many governments and companies are thriving off the lack of privacy that you have on the internet today. ProXPN can give you your privacy back. They're a virtual private network, and ProXPN encrypts your data right from your computer or mobile device. ProXPN offers OpenVPN, the gold standard of network encryption, with apps for Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, as well as Linux support. Unlike other VPNs, ProXPN keeps no logs of your activities whatsoever. With more servers being added all the time, ProXPN works hard to give you greater speed and security compared to other VPNs. If you're a Windows user, ask ProXPN about changing your DNS settings for even greater anonymity. They take credit card and even Bitcoin. Plus, if you use code FTL50, you get 50% off of the regular monthly price for the lifetime of your annual account. It can end up being cheaper per month than a good cup of coffee. Use the internet the way it was meant to be used. Go to proxpn.com now and use code FTL50 to take back the privacy that is your right. That's code FTL50 at proxpn.com. Now, one of the critiques that I've heard about online dating, specifically about OkCupid, is that the people there just want sex, that it's just like this group of folks, the people that are in the dating pool there on OkCupid aren't really looking for long-term relationships, and that they just want to have sex. I don't have that much experience with it. I've only met one person from OkCupid, and that was a few years ago, and I didn't get that impression from that particular person. But that's what Renee from Seditious Sirens and Anarchy After Dark has said about OkCupid. Have you ever heard that about that dating site?
I have not.
Or has that been your experience with it?
That's certainly not been my experience with it. My experience is, like most people are looking for, long-term, only long-term, and, unless it's going to be forever.
It would seem like Tinder would be the site where people are just looking for sex, right? Like
yes.
That's what I hear about Tinder. I've never actually downloaded the app. I've never, taken any time to explore it, but
we live in such a sparsely populated area, it's probably not worth it to download the app.
I see what you're saying. More of like a city-oriented kind of thing, urban.
Right. So, like if you're living in Manchester where there's 100,000 people, you're going to have a lot more options than Keene where there's 20,000 people.
So, whatever your opinions are, we'd love to hear them if you want to share them. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Darryl, was there more from the Pew Research study?
Yeah, there's one more, and actually we're out of the Pew study, and we're now into the statistics that were released by OkCupid.
Oh, okay, right. And they were
where it showed the shift in thought on views on sex over the last decade.
From their site's users.
Based on site users and based on answers to questions.
And you got to give OkCupid a lot of credit. I mean, they've really done an amazing job at, and I do understand that apparently there was some government money involved at some point, or DARPA or whatever.
DARPA helped create the entire internet. So if you're going to
I think
say
they
that
actually,
DARPA was involved, then yes, DARPA is involved in
you don't know
the
history
way
of
the
OkCupid.
LRN works because DARPA created the internet.
You don't know the history of OkCupid, right? There actually was like some sort of DARPA involvement in the creation of this. I'll pull it up for you. I'm almost certain about that, Darryl. Like not just way
so
back
you're
in
saying like direct involvement, not just they created the internet and therefore the thing.
Yeah, I'll see what I can pull that up because I'm almost certain about that.
So there's one more statistic here from OkCupid.
Yeah.
They say last, but certainly not least, whether or not a user needed to have sex with someone before considering marriage, 76% said yes. That's up 11% from a decade ago.
That seems like a sensible thing to say.
They do point out that OkCupid has 12 million users who have a median age of 29 years old and are mostly college-educated and white. Although not representative of the entire nation, the study could provide insight into the ever-evolving nature of the American sex life.
So, again, toll-free number 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. OkCupid, though, has, I think, really... They're probably the most popular of the dating websites.
Probably. And one thing that I wish they would institute, and I know that this is possible because other sites have this feature, is a mutual match search.
What's that mean?
To where they will wind up sorting through the people that you match with what that person is looking for. So, for instance, say you're looking for women between 21 and 37.
Okay.
And there's a really attractive 23-year-old, and you're like, she looks attractive. Let me read her profile. And then you see that she's only looking for guys that are from 18 to 24. So if there was a mutual match,
it shouldn't show her in the first place.
She should not be shown in your results because she's not also looking for someone that you fit the criteria of.
But what you're saying is they don't do that on OkCupid.
OkCupid does not have mutual match.
Gotcha.
I forget which site does, but it was a horrible site anyway. But that was one of the good features of it was mutual match. So that you would only see people that you also met what they were looking for. So they met what you were looking for, and you met what they were looking for.
I'm having trouble finding the DARPA thing. Maybe I've got my memory all messed up on that. I'll see if I can do a little deeper digging. It's not actually on Wikipedia as far as the history of the site. But again, you got to give them credit. They've created a website that I think has a decent matching system, and they actually let you send messages to people for free.
Yes.
On OkCupid, which, a lot of these, we talked about some of these scammy dating sites a few weeks ago here on Free Talk Live when a couple of them pitched us as potential advertisers, and I turned them down because I don't want to be associated with a scam. And like a lot of these other sites, you can't send a message or you can't read any messages from somebody unless you give them money. And so OkCupid has managed to make a successful dating site to where obviously they're successful. They're still it's still operating after quite a long time. I don't know when they started here. I think it looks like 2004, so more than a decade in operation. Obviously, you're not going to run in debt for 12 years. They must be, making money.
And they do have features that you can unlock with a payment.
Right. There's their A-list option, which gives you special bonuses or whatever. That obviously there was enough people who are buying those things to keep the site going. So, good for them for doing that. I don't know if there are any other free sites out there that really compete with OkCupid. Are you aware of that?
Not that I'm aware of.
I remember there was plenty of fish.
But
it was a junky-looking site the last time I went to it.
Yeah, it's a horrible site.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. The Myers-Briggs personality test. Since we're talking about people and dating and human beings and how they behave. The personality test. Everyone's taken this thing. Everybody knows what their letters are.
I'm an ENFP, borderline INFP.
But are you? Huffington Post says it doesn't actually mean anything. It's Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
The Free State Project is an agreement among 20,000 participants to move to New Hampshire for liberty in our lifetime. Now almost 95% to our goal, we are creating private solutions to public problems and creating a society that runs on voluntary interactions instead of coercion. We invite you to participate in our cause and be part of our upcoming conference, Liberty Forum 16. Liberty Forum is a premier liberty-oriented conference based in Manchester, New Hampshire, that attracts free thinkers from all over the world. Over the past 9 years, this 3-day conference has grown to attract distinguished speakers and organizations to discuss how to build a better society through free market solutions. This year, our headliner is Edward Snowden, live from Russia. To learn more about attending, exhibiting, and sponsoring this event, please go to nhlibertyforum.com. That's nhlibertyforum.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll free, 855-450-FREE, whether you want to talk about online dating or professional snuggling or the Myers-Briggs personality test, which we're going to get into here shortly. You can join us. You can also join us via Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
And if you want to save big time on your online purchases, go to saveitpurse.com. You can save 20, 30, 40, 50% off of Amazon, and it works very well. It sounds too good to be true. This is for real. You go to saveitpurse.com, and you can knock a huge chunk of money off of what you would otherwise be paying for things, because you're going to buy these things anyway. You might as well go to saveitpurse.com and get started there and save big time. The catch is, here you go, you got to have Bitcoin. That's the deal. If you don't have Bitcoin, you don't get those discounts. If you don't have Bitcoin, you want to go shopping at Amazon, then go to shop.freetalklive.com. You can go that, through those links there, and Free Talk Live will benefit. But if you go to saveitpurse.com, then you can start saving big time on every purchase you make from Amazon from now on with Bitcoin. It's awesome. It works well. And I've used it more than 40 times in the last year. My total savings is now over $900 worth of savings. It's incredible. So I highly recommend it. When you go to saveatpurse.com, saveatpurse.com, Free Talk Live will get a very small portion of your future purchases through the site. So I did find what I was saying before earlier, Darryl, which you were disbelieving. It is OKWS. That's essentially the web server that was created before OKCupid. So this was the sort of the foundation of OKCupid. OKWS was developed by Max Krohn, one of the founders of OKCupid, when he was at MIT, Harvard, with DARPA funding. So some government money did ultimately help develop the technology that is beneath the OKCupid website, but that doesn't mean that government's involved in the site today.
Right, and what sort of funding, how involved were they in the research? Because you could say that
just a grant to MIT, right? That could have been
right. Like my entire radio career was funded by the government because I got a scholarship to go to college.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. I just wanted to clarify that because I did mention it on the air, and so there is some involvement there, but not anymore. It's not involved with them at this time. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. You can join us here. The Myers-Briggs personality test. I remember taking this for the first time when I was a kid. And I remember, I think I scored INTJ, I think it was. And I guess, I don't remember if I've taken it as an adult, but I suspect that over time, your letters change. And HuffingtonPost.com here says that it doesn't actually mean anything. Forget everything you once knew. Are you an ISFJ or an ESFP? Wait, don't answer that. Your Myers-Briggs personality type might not actually matter at all, says Kate Bratskier is her name. The 93-question test is the most widely used personality test in the world. Some 2 million people answer the questions each year to find out which one of 16 personality types most closely fits them. But the two women who developed the test in 1945 had no formal training in psychology. And as a recent report by Vox explains, the test is essentially worthless. Now, they say here that in a video that Vox has presented, that shows that our personalities don't fit neatly into classification boxes. As proof, one study found that 50% of participants received two different Myers-Briggs classifications when they took the same test twice, 5 weeks apart. And yet, while the solidity of Myers-Briggs has been tested and found faulty time and time again, many large corporations use the criteria to hire and to organize employees. So the report by Vox.com has more of the details. According to Vox, the test is completely meaningless, and the company that produces and markets the test does make around $20 million per year off of administering it. There's just no evidence behind it, says Adam Grant, an organizational psychologist at the University of Pennsylvania who's written about the shortcomings of Myers-Briggs previously. He says, quote, the characteristics measured by the test have almost no predictive power on how happy you'll be in a situation, how you'll perform at your job, or how happy you'll be in your marriage. The test claims that based on 93 questions, it can group all of the people in the world into 16 discrete types, and in doing so serve as a powerful framework, they say, for building better relationships, driving positive change, harnessing innovation, and achieving excellence, unquote. So that's from Myers-Briggs. Most of the faithful think of it primarily as a tool for telling you your proper career choice. But the test was developed in the 1940s based on the totally untested theories of Carl Jung and is now thoroughly disregarded by the psychology community.
I think that these personality tests are interesting. I would never use it to determine whether or not I'm going to hire someone or date someone or, go into business with someone. But it's interesting.
Sure. So is astrology, right? And that's essentially what they're saying here, is that it's not really worth much more than that. Even Jung warned that his personality types were just rough tendencies that he had observed rather than strict classifications. Several analyses have shown that the test is totally ineffective at predicting people's success in various jobs, and that about half of the people who take it twice get different results each time. Half of the people who take it twice are scoring differently each time they take it.
So how different? Because that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take it and your EI is 5149, and then the next time you take it, it's 4951.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's not a big change. But if you go from 93% extrovert the first time you take it to 98% introvert the next time, that's a huge difference.
I suspect I would have gone from introvert to extrovert in my lifetime, at least, because when I was a kid, I was more introverted than I am now. I've made a more, a direct effort to be more extroverted. So they do link to the analysis here if you want to actually dig into the details on these. Yet you probably heard people telling you that they're an ENFJ, an extroverted intuitive feeling judging, or an INTP, an introverted intuitive thinking perceiving, or another one of the 16 types drawn from Jung's work. And as you may have been given this test in a professional setting, you may have been given this test in a professional setting, here's an explanation of why these labels are so meaningless and why no organization in the 21st century should rely on the test for anything. In 1921, Jung published the book Psychological Types. In it, he put forth a few different interesting, unsupported theories on how the human brain operates. Among other things, he explained that humans roughly fall into two main types, perceivers and judgers. The former group could be further split into people who prefer sensing and others who prefer intuiting, while the latter could be split into thinkers and feelers, for a total of 4 types of people. All 4 types additionally could be divided based on attitudes into introverts and extroverts. These categories, though, were approximate. He said, every individual is an exception to the rule. Even though these rough categories, though, didn't come out of controlled experiments or data, quote, this was before psychology was an empirical science, said a Penn psychologist. Jung literally made these up based on his own experiences. But Jung's influence on the early field was enormous, and this idea of types in particular caught on. Jung's principles were later adapted into a test by Catherine Briggs and her daughter Isabel Briggs Myers, a pair of Americans who had no formal training in psychology. To learn the techniques of test-making and statistical analysis, Briggs worked with Edward Hay, an HR manager for a Philadelphia bank. They began testing their type indicator in 1942. It copies Jung's types but slightly altered the terminology and modified it so that people were assigned one possibility or the other in all 4 categories based on their answers to a series of 2-choice questions. Raise 2 to the 4th power and you get 16. The different types of people there are apparently in the world, according to Myers and Briggs. They gave titles to each of these types, like the executive, caregiver, the scientist, and the idealist. The test has grown enormously popular over the years, especially since it was taken over by the company CPP in 1975, but has changed little. It still assigns you a 4-letter type to represent which result you got in each of the 4 categories. So they're going to dig into why this really just doesn't make sense, and you can share your thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Maybe humans are a little bit more complicated than 16 categories. It's Free Talk Live.
Pop quiz for all business owners. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business, which one of these can you lose? Your home, your car, or your life savings? The answer? All 3. Because if you're not incorporated, it's not just your business that can be sued, it's you too, which means you could lose everything. Once business owners realize the risk of not being incorporated, they usually scramble to incorporate or form an LLC. To make it quick and easy, Incorporate.com is now giving away a free incorporation guide to all business owners, so you can incorporate in just 10 minutes. For your free 10-minute incorporation guide, call now, 1-800-915-1027. Protect your financial future. At Incorporate.com, they don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating or forming an LLC quick and easy. Call now for your free 10-minute incorporation guide. 1-800-915-1027. Hurry while supplies last. 1-800-915-1027. That's 1-800-915-1027.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you are invited to join us here toll free at 855-450-FREE, whether it's your comments on internet dating or the Myers-Briggs personality test, where Vox.com, Huffington Post reporting on basically the idea that it's total BS and that it is not well respected among the psychology community, and there's some really interesting things that have been done with it to basically pick it apart, and that's what they're doing here at Vox.com. We'll continue that. Also coming up, Darryl, you're going to be telling us about the FDA sending threatening notices to essential oil companies. That's something that sounds pretty scary. We'll get into that here. Also, you can join us online anytime over at freetalklive.com, so enjoy the features that you'll find on our website. And if you like what we're doing here on Free Talk Live, then I would suggest that you become a Free Talk Live amplifier over at amp.freetalklive.com. You know, we talk about everything from liberty to just being a human being, and that's what we're focusing on here tonight. But if you like the show, please go to amp.freetalklive.com. It's $5 a month. That helps us market Free Talk Live to new radio stations, to get on more stations around the country. Mark and I are going to be going once again to the Talkers Conference this year, which is sort of the big brouhaha for all talk radio industry people, and it's the Free Talk Live AMP program that allows us to be able to afford to go to things like this and sort of schmooze it up with the industry bigwigs, which makes a difference for us. So please go to amp.freetalklive.com, join the AMP program. You get access to perks like the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only podcast, as well as the AMP-only Facebook group, amp.freetalklive.com. So what exactly is wrong with the Myers-Briggs personality test?
I would say, and I'll give my thoughts before you give whatever response they give. One thing that I do think is flawed about the way the test is done is the duopoly sort of, the dualistic sort of thing to where would you rather A or B?
Two choices.
And there are times when it's like, well, I like doing both of these, but
or it depends on the day. Yeah.
I would rather this. Or I don't like either of those, but I have to pick one, so I would not be as, ticked off if I were doing this one.
And sure enough, that's the first point that they're going to make here in the story from Vox.com. They're called false limited binaries, meaning that they're a false choice, right? You're giving people it's not an actual human choice. Human opinions and beliefs have a larger range than A or B.
Right.
And so with most traits, humans fall on different points along a spectrum, says Vox. If you ask people whether they prefer to think or feel, or whether they prefer to judge or perceive, the majority will tell you a little of both. And Jung himself admitted as much, noting that the binaries were useful ways of thinking about people, but writing that, quote, there is no such thing as a pure extrovert or pure introvert. Such a man would be in the lunatic asylum, unquote. But the test is built entirely around the basis that people are all of one or the other. It arrives at the conclusion by giving people questions such as, quote, you tend to sympathize with other people, unquote, and then offering them only two blunt answers of yes or no. It'd be one thing if there were good empirical reasons for these strange binary choices that don't seem to describe the reality that we know, but they come from the disregarded theories of an early 20th century thinker who believed in things like ESP and the collective unconscious. Actual data tells psychologists that these traits do not have a bimodal distribution. Tracking a group of people's interactions with others, for instance, shows that, as Jung noted, there aren't really pure extroverts and introverts, but mostly people who fall somewhere in between. All four of the categories in the Myers-Briggs suffer from these kinds of problems, and psychologists say that they aren't an effective way of distinguishing between different personality types.
Okay, so it seems as though they're saying the test is flawed, therefore the results are flawed.
Well, there's more.
I don't think you can necessarily make that conclusion.
Well, if the test is flawed, then I think by default the results would have to be flawed, right? I mean, if you're asking people questions that don't have a fair set of answers, but yet they're answering them anyway to the best of their ability, you're not really getting what you're looking for out of it.
True, and it's not going to give you an accurate representation of each individual person, but the 16 different, here's 16 different personality types, I think it would be kind of accurate to say there are generally, 16 distinct things, and most people fall somewhere in between one or more.
But that's not useful, right? If the purpose is to categorize people, then it has failed at that. By failing from the beginning with questions that are inaccurate.
I guess it depends on why you're trying to categorize people. If you're taking the test out of a purely, I want to learn more about the way my brain works and the way I interact with people from like a self-help sort of thing.
But you're not getting an accurate result, and so you're not learning something. You're being given misinformation. So what we've learned is false, essentially. The things we've been told by this Myers-Briggs test are not who we really are. There's nothing you can glean from a poorly designed test, except for the fact that this is poorly designed and it's nothing more than an entertainment purpose. Like, this is no better.
Right, and that's how I look at it, as entertainment.
But most people don't. But most people don't. Like, they take this really seriously. Like, this is given out as a serious way of determining somebody's personality.
And some people look at the astrology as really serious.
This is just a cut above
you were born
that.
in the house of Aquarius under the third moon.
This is barely better than astrology. Let's go to John. There's more.
It's all entertainment as far as I'm concerned.
Well, but you're taking it way less seriously than a lot of people do. Let's go to John, listening in northern Minnesota. Go ahead, John. You're on Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want. So what's on your mind tonight?
Yeah. Well, I'm visiting in Chalfont in another state in Pennsylvania, and I was just wondering if there's how we can get you on the radio over here.
Well, the best way to get us on the radio is to contact local talk radio stations and ask real nicely, talk to the program director, and ask him or her for Free Talk Live. That's a really helpful way to do it. Another way to do it is to donate to the Free Talk Live AMP program, and that's more of a long road. I mean, it's all a long road. You're not gonna call up and talk to a program director tomorrow during business hours and have the program director fall at your feet and say, "Oh, thank you for introducing the show to me." So, even if you call, it's probably going to take a while, maybe a year, 2 years, 5 years.
What's your website then?
Our website's freetalklive.com. You can go there and you can listen to the show any old time you want to, wherever you want. You can download archives. You can listen live to our live stream. We've got a YouTube channel with video archives of the show. So are you new to the show? Is this your first time listening?
Oh, no, I've listened to it before. But I just noticed here in this thing that they had Bitcoin made it to the Federal Reserve, or somebody recognized it or something, or the government recognized it?
This is news to me. I highly doubt the Federal Reserve would recognize Bitcoin. Where did you hear this?
Let me check here. We're checking on the internet here. What was it here?
Yeah, we got nothing but time.
It was some kind of a government thing recognized it.
All right, well, we'll take a look into it. We'll see if we can find it. There's a lot of Bitcoin news sites out there, and I'm sure there would be some kind of headline about it. Maybe Cointelegraph will have something. We'll see if we can dig up some information on that. But ultimately, whether the government recognizes Bitcoin or not won't matter to the future of Bitcoin.
So I just did a news search, and CoinDesk has a study a report from last year where they're claiming that the Federal Reserve needs power to regulate Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not what we want.
Oh, yeah, well, when they get involved, you'll really mess it up.
Yeah, thanks, John, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. I got a bad connection there. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Good news is you don't have to worry about that. For those that don't know, Bitcoin's a decentralized currency that is not created by a government. It's not created by a corporation. So the Federal Reserve can if they want to regulate Bitcoin, well, too bad for them, because they can't. There is no control that the Federal Reserve has over Bitcoin. They can't go and, put the pressure on some corporation, because there is no corporation behind Bitcoin. They can't go to a bank and, raid the bank and take control of Bitcoin, because no bank created Bitcoin. It's a program that was released to the world back in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi Nakamoto is anonymous. We don't know who that person is, or if it's just one person. It could be more than one person. We don't know. And that came out to the world, and it is an open source program, meaning that anyone can see the code. It's completely transparent, unlike the banking system that we have today. So there's no way the government can stop Bitcoin. Now, New York State has had an effect on the Bitcoin universe in New York State, and the way they did that was by creating a Bitcoin regulatory scheme to regulate Bitcoin exchanges. And essentially they drove most of the Bitcoin exchanges out of the state of New York. But ultimately, they can't stop people in New York from buying and selling things for Bitcoin, because the government doesn't know when you buy and sell things for Bitcoin. If you're careful, there's ways to use it anonymously, but you have to jump through a few hoops to do that. So the government can't stop it. Too bad for them, and good for us. 855-450-FREE. More coming up.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all: domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it, and they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people, where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Why are you playing a slot machine sound for an online poker site?
Do you have a poker sound effect? Because we have a new advertiser, swcpoker.eu.
Brought to you by the same guys that did seals with clubs.
Now they're called swcpoker.eu. It's Bitcoin Poker 2.0. They have lots of new games, including Chinese poker. The Krill leaderboard is active now. It's Bitcoin Poker from the brand you trust, swcpoker.eu.
Get on over to swcpoker.eu and start playing now. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, February 15th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.37 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,212 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $407. Antiwar.com reports last week a deal reached in Munich scheduled the start of a ceasefire in the Syrian civil war, which was set for the next few days. As is so often the case with these ceasefires that are set many days in the future, it has led to increased fighting in the interim. We've seen this time and again in ceasefires around the world, with the various factions pushing hard in the final days before the pause in hopes of seizing a little extra territory or taking a position that would give them strategic advantage when no faction ever says if the fighting resumes. To that end, Syrian troops seized a small village that overlooks a string of rebel-held Aleppo towns, while the rebels are pushing hard on several fronts. Even Turkey, which was not a direct combatant force, started attacking targets this weekend. The U.S. is urging some of the factions to halt attacks, particularly urging Turkey to stop hitting the Kurds and Russia to stop hitting everybody. It seems inevitable that the fighting is going to keep going right up until the deadline, and in some cases a little bit afterwards. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports 2 tourists walking across the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco said they were hit in the leg with blow darts in what police said appear to be separate random attacks. A man and a woman told California Highway Patrol officers they'd separately been hit while walking southbound on the east side of the bridge, one in the thigh, the other in the knee. The man stopped an officer on the bridge saying he'd been hit in the thigh by a dart, which went through his jeans and into his skin. The man had already removed the dart from his leg, and officers said it appeared to have been fired from a blowgun. While the man was talking to the officer, a woman walked up and reported that she had been hit in the kneecap by a similar dart. Both darts were about 5 inches long, with one end sharpened to a point and the other covered with a plastic cap. The darts will be tested for chemicals, and police are investigating whether either of the shootings was captured on video. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend a Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend a Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. Reuters reports residents of much of the northeastern United States woke up on Sunday to bone-chilling cold conditions that shattered Valentine's Day records in Boston, Hartford, and Providence. Officials warned residents to stay indoors in the face of the negative 9-degree Fahrenheit temperatures, which felt as cold as negative 40 degrees with the wind chill. Forecasters warned that frostbite could set in on exposed skin within minutes and urged residents to check on elderly neighbors. While the weather system brought intense cold to the region, little snow has fallen so far this winter, placing less stress on the roads and rails than last winter's record-setting 9 feet of snow in Boston. New York was also feeling the coldest weather it had experienced in a year, and Governor Andrew Cuomo urged people to stay inside. The cold put a damper on some couples' Valentine's Day celebration plans, with walks and other outdoor activity curtailed. Some, though, embraced the extremes, with more than 2,000 taking part in the Sea Isle, New Jersey annual Polar Bear Plunge, dipping into the icy Atlantic to raise funds for the city's revitalization. Police throughout the region sought out the homeless to urge them to spend the night in shelters where cots, mats, and even chairs were rolled out to give people a place to shelter from the cold. But Kevin Taylor, a 49-year-old native of Massachusetts living on the streets in Harvard Square outside Boston, said he had coped with the cold on his own. Taylor said, "I got a 0-degree sleeping bag and fleece blankets. I was born and raised in New England. I'm used to it. I'll start breaking tomorrow." Forecasters said temperatures around Boston would rise to 29 degrees Fahrenheit on Monday. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. A new crispy snack cracker will ease the crushing pain of modern life. The dull, all-consuming ache of present-day existence will be slightly alleviated when Nabisco's breakthrough TC McCrispy's line of crackers arrives today. Available in regular, Garden Ranch, and Zesty Cheddar, the new crackers will flood consumers' bodies with fat, salt, and starch to produce a pleasing sensation of warmth and nourishment, momentarily freeing them from a relentless, crushing sense of profound grief. Mel Krychek is Nabisco's Director of Corporate Communications.
Our tasty new snack cracker will, if only for a few lovely moments, significantly lessen the hideously bleak and empty torment of modern life that festers in every solitary soul.
Nabisco expects most despair-riddled consumers to eat an entire box in one sitting. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733 as we launch into the third hour. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
The Myers-Briggs test being torn apart by Vox.com. It is not as, well, it's a very, very popular test, but it is not what it seems to be. It is not an actual accurate way of representing who people are and, you know, what their personality types are, which is what everybody thinks about it. But there's a lot of information here, and we're going to get back into why it's basically total BS, or mostly. We'll get into that, but first, your calls, your thoughts about whatever's on your mind. We go to Gene, the Christian anarchist, on the line here. Gene, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, I wanted to tell you something I dreamed up all by myself. I hope it catches on, and maybe we can figure out a way to make it work. But it's called Break a Law Today. Break a Law Today, and I think it could be. You could use something like a Twitter account to broadcast to all the followers what law needs to be broken on that specific day, and that way people all across the country could break one specific law. And the reason you would want to do this is to train people to realize that the laws don't exist, that they're not real, and that the authority behind them is nothing more than smoke and mirrors, that the people really don't have authority to tell you not to do things, especially if the people... Right, but they don't have authority. Authority and force are two different things. Authority is legitimate. Force is nothing more than, I'm going to break your head if you do something. So that's force. But their authority doesn't exist, and if the people en masse, and that's the problem, you got to have a mass of people working together. If they all go out on one day, say, and just run stop signs. Okay, today's California Stop Day. Everybody goes out and they just roll through stop signs. Of course, don't do anything dangerous. You don't want to go through an intersection if there's a car coming the other way. But when you're at an intersection, you can see it's clear both ways. There's no point in coming to that full stop. Just roll through the darn thing as long as there's nobody there to give you a ticket. So one day could be California Stop Day, another day could be Jaywalk Day. And as the followers grow and as the movement grows, you move up to more and more serious offenses that nobody gets hurt. They all have to be victimless crimes, of course, or victimless offenses. And as that mass of people grows, and as the level steps up, people then get more brave and more bold to realize that the authority doesn't exist. If people don't want to follow the laws,
I don't see that that's going to work. I mean, if people are doing enough public disobedience, they're going to get arrested at some point, and then they will fully believe that authority exists because they won't see the difference between what you're saying here. I mean, the average person isn't going to understand.
You can't arrest 1 million people. You can't arrest 1 million people.
If they're spread out across the entire country, you absolutely can.
Yeah. I mean, are you talking about all of these people would live in the same city, or that they would live around the world?
No, they would just be all over they could be all over the world, but I'm primarily thinking of USA. And
I understand where you're coming from.
We're not talking about major violations that are going to result in an arrest, unless you start getting into, smoke a joint day, which that could certainly be in the agenda, but it would have to be later on as the movement grows. You would step up to more.
Most people aren't willing to commit civil disobedience of any sort, even though they break laws every day in their own way. Probably without even realizing that they're breaking laws. So in that way, every day is break a law day because everybody's broken some kind of dumb law, whether it's be speeding or whatever. But
three felonies a day.
Getting people to participate in civil disobedience is hugely difficult. I mean, because most people aren't willing to put their freedom on the line. They're not willing to pay more money to the state than they otherwise would. I mean, because if I'm going to advocate someone do civil disobedience, I'm going to advocate they go all the way through and refuse to take the plea deal and refuse to, go ahead and jump through the state's hoops. I want them to not take the plea. I want them to go to trial. I want them to clog the court system. And, the more of that you ask someone to do, the less likely they are going to participate. So I think you're going to have a tough time even finding 10,000 people who are willing to, in a coordinated way, break various different victimless crime laws. I mean, it's hard enough to find people who are. Hold on, Gene. It's hard enough to find people who are willing to pick up their lives and just move to get active within the political system. I mean, it took 15 years to find just 20,000 people who would sign the Free State Project pledge, which has nothing to do with civil disobedience. And the supermajority of people here would never do civil disobedience because they have all these other things going on in their lives. They got a family or a job or whatever it is. So I'm not saying you shouldn't try this, but good luck.
So I wanted to pull up some.
Here's where I disagree with you.
Hold on, Gene.
Here's where I disagree with you, though, because I'm not saying that you do this in front of the police so you're going to get in trouble. You do this on your own, so that you can get brave enough to realize that the authority doesn't exist. So you run a stop sign.
There's no bravery in doing something with
there.
No cop around. That's not a brave act. It's only brave to do it if there's a risk.
It's conditioning. It's conditioning the people to realize that the laws are not rigid. They're not written from God. That the finger of God didn't write that you need to stop at that stop sign. So it's a conditioning process to get people used to realizing that the laws don't exist. They're just fiction.
All right, Darryl, what were you going to say?
So I pulled up some statistics because I was curious about, how many people wind up getting traffic citations every day
across the U.S.,
across the entire country.
I'm gonna get. Do you actually have the statistics? I'll take a shot.
I've got a statistic for the annual number that was written in 2014, and then I divided that by 365 to come out with a daily number.
I'm gonna just take a shot in the dark here. 100,000 a day.
Gene, would you like to take a guess?
It's got to be a million.
I was thinking it was going to be close to 1 million. The number that they have is only for speeding tickets.
Oh, okay.
And it's 112,000.
Hey, not bad.
328.7.
Although I was thinking
per day,
more than speeding tickets, but yeah, that's a lot.
So it'll be a million. It'll be over 1 million.
But they're gonna get caught. People. I mean, even if you just run
they won't get caught. Not if you're careful. I run stop signs. I run 15 stop signs at least a day. I never get caught.
Well, people speed every day and they don't get caught every day.
Right. There are a lot more people that speed than the 112,000 people per day that get a speeding ticket.
There are plenty of people who speed, and yet, and they speed regularly and, smoke pot or whatever else it is that they do to violate the law, and they don't believe that, or they don't think that doing those things destroys authority. They still believe in the state. They still believe in controlling their neighbor just because, they want to be free to be able to run a stoplight or whatever, but they don't want those other people to. So I don't know if it'll do what you're intending that it will do.
Well, anyway, I did open a discussion on it at Ron Paul Forum if somebody wants to jump in there and add their own 2 cents worth. But I think we need to find some way to condition people to realize that these laws don't really exist. They're nothing more than a fiction written on a piece of paper somewhere.
I agree with you there. I mean, there's no doubt that that's an important thing to communicate to people. I just don't know if what you're coming up with here is going to be successful. I'm not saying don't try it. By all means, give it a go and see if you can get people to commit to it.
The cops most certainly think that the laws exist. The judge most certainly think the laws exist. The jail guards that keep people inside the jail, they think that the laws exist.
It's a mass hallucination.
Actually, they don't think the laws exist because they don't think the laws apply to them. So therefore, the cops, the judges, the politicians, they're the ones who realize that there is no law because they're the ones that have total disdain for the law. The people on the top know that law is fiction. That's why they don't follow them.
Well, I mean,
I think the reason they don't follow them is because they know that they're exempt from them.
It depends who you talk to. I mean, I remember Brad Jardis. We used to have him on the show. He was a cop for more than a decade, and he regularly read the statutes. I mean, they meant something to him. It was like his hobby to read the laws. I mean, so yeah, I think some of them do believe in it, but I get where you're coming from, Gene, and let us know how that project works out. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I mean, I do agree with the goal of the project to sort of put the idea of law on its side and, get people to disregard it. And we'll continue here. It's Free Talk Live.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-965-1170.
I used to be plagued by pot belly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. So just think how much better you'll look and feel. Think you might be bloated? Call now for a free trial of New Biotics and see how much flatter it makes your belly. You might be surprised. But hurry, call now for details while these free trials last. 1-800-965-1170. That's 1-800-965-1170. 1-800-965-1170.
Hi, this is Sophie Winnick, longtime distributor and user of Longevity products. In the last few years, my family went through a crisis. Everything else in my life, including my business, had to be put on the back burner. Thankfully, life is getting back to normal now. But the one thing I never had to worry about was my business and my monthly commission. I've been a distributor for Longevity for over 17 years, since before it was Longevity. And I've got to say, the most amazing thing about this company is the people. While my family was in crisis, other distributors stepped in and helped my customers, simply because that's what Longevity people do, even for people they don't know. For me, it has never been about getting rich. It was about a product I could stand behind, a company I could count on, and a monthly commission check that has never, not once, been late in 17 years. Longevity is truly a business for everyone, even people who have too much to do. I'm Sophie Winnick. I'm just like you. I have a real life, real ups and downs, but I know I will always have Longevity.
We've made significant progress wiring the nation's schools for the internet, but we have to do more. Every child in America should have an internet-capable computer in their bedroom at home, preferably with a high-resolution webcam. I have been to children's chat rooms and have been shocked and disappointed to find they are frequently empty. Even when these youngsters do manage to find their way online, they lack the skills to do something as simple as pinpoint their location on Google Maps. I long for the day when someone can log onto the Nickelodeon Under 13 chat room and type, "Hey, any kids in here like to play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? I have a Nintendo at my house," and be overwhelmed with instant messages. Then I'll know we're doing our job supporting technology in this country.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Cryptocurrency and peer-to-peer tech developments happen fast. Stay in the loop with the Daily Decrypt, a new video channel and podcast that will keep you on top of the latest innovations in crypto finance, security, networking, transportation, and gadgetry like drones and 3D printers. Subscribe to the Daily Decrypt on YouTube and SoundCloud and be an early adopter of the future. The Daily Decrypt.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733 with you tonight. Ian here.
And Darryl.
We were talking about the Myers-Briggs personality test, and when we get a chance, we'll continue that discussion here. Vox.com's tearing it a new one, saying this thing is useless, that it is completely meaningless. And we'll get into more of those details here. Ian and Darryl in the studio. We've got Skype as well. Skype username is LRN.FM, so feel free to call us there. And, of course, you can bring up anything you want to discuss. Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. And also want to let you know about the 101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire. 101reasonsfilm.com. You're looking to maybe considering a move to New Hampshire? Not so sure about what's going on here? Well, 101reasonsfilm.com. It's a free documentary film. It's an hour long, and it is packed full of great information about why New Hampshire is the best choice for people who love liberty. You don't want to miss this. And it's free, so really there's no reason not to watch it. 101reasonsfilm.com. Let's go to the phones and to the fun. First up, Joe is on the line in Alabama. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Darryl. Hey, Joe.
Hi, I'm glad you took my call.
Yes, sir. That's what we do.
I was listening to where you were doing the study on tests on people's personalities.
Yes.
And how it's misleading. Well, I don't know if they do it on all the schools, but here in Alabama they do testing to test people's academic scores, and they don't test them on necessarily the complete government way it was founded and all. They have their own opinion, and the teachers are told to teach it this way. And, you know, you were talking about the other tests sort of being fixed. These tests they're doing in schools are fixing the people's minds to the wrong way that really the country was founded. And
so are you talking about like the different aptitude tests that they do, like the SATs and the ACTs and whatever other sort of three-letter thing?
Exactly, Darryl. That's what I was talking about. And the teacher spends a lot of time, instead of just teaching history, they're teaching them how to pass that test, in which the government wants them to learn it. And, you know, that is really wrong in my eyes, and yet the teacher is being accountable for wrong information.
Yeah, I know there are a number of teachers who are less than thrilled at the idea that they have to teach to these national tests, like these government-mandated federal government curricula or tests or whatever. And I don't know what all of them are called. And then there's also the military one. What's that, the ASVAB? So, yeah, I mean, I share your concerns. Sadly, though, government schools are not going anywhere anytime soon. So the best thing that parents can do is get their kids out of them. Withdraw your kids from these schools and homeschool or unschool and get them out of the system where they're being brainwashed. And it's not just the tests. I mean, there's also just regular curriculum. A lot of these textbooks are written by arch statists who believe in the state and want to communicate why the government is such a great thing to kids these days. And we've seen some of the handouts or the homework that's been sent home with some people, even as young as elementary school. And it's very, very disturbing, the idea well, kids, you're either a Democrat or a Republican, and here's a little test that'll help you determine which one you are, which, of course, puts them in this another false choice, right? Those of us who believe in other choices like third parties would be very, very upset by this, or upset to the idea that some child is being asked to determine whether they're a Democrat or Republican at age 5 or 10 or whatever. It seems like it's a little too early to start in on that. Joe, anything else?
Thank you so
Thanks for the call, brother. I appreciate hearing from you tonight. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Tom is in Hudson, New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Tom. Tom in New Hampshire. Going once.
Tom. Hello, can you hear me?
You're on the radio.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah, great. Yeah, it's about some of the Republicans in the news saying that they're going to block any Obama nomination. And, of course, if you say Obama nomination fast enough, it sounds like abomination. So I can understand what they would expect. But you know what would be hilarious is if Obama nominates Ron Paul to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, that's
Why
not going to happen.
Would he do that?
Well, if he should nominate Ron Paul, because Ron Paul knows a lot more about what the Constitution is really about than most members of Congress and most members of the Supreme Court are willing to admit to. And so,
that's a nice thing to think about, but it's not even a realistic possibility.
Aside from the fact that Ron Paul has never been a judge
or an attorney,
Ron Paul is also older than the judge that just passed away.
Yeah, but it would be kind of funny after they pledge that they're going to block the nomination, and then he picks Ron Paul. That would be hilarious.
I saw something online earlier today where there's a picture of Hillary and Bernie, and it said, "Please, Republicans, block the nomination. That way we can appoint Barack Obama."
Thanks, Tom, for your call tonight. Appreciate it. Don't get your hopes up there. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Look, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Ron Paul, in some sort of prominent national position, just because any attention that Ron Paul can get from the media, I think, is a good thing for the ideas of liberty. But there's a reason why he's on the outskirts. There's a reason why he's the one vote in Congress, when he was in Congress, why he was Dr. No. He was the one person who would always vote no on things against, the other, 435. The other 435 of them, or 434 of them. So, yeah, Ron Paul definitely not going to be nominated for anything ever in the rest of his life as far as Washington, D.C. is concerned. I feel pretty safe in making that prediction.
Yes.
I don't like going out on a limb. I don't like making predictions, but I'll go ahead and make that one.
I don't think you're really going out on a limb.
No, that's true.
With that one.
It's not even going out on a twig. Let's go to Brian. He's on the line in, I don't know where, California, I think. Brian, you're on Free Talk Live via Skype.
Hey, guys.
Hey
just wanted to call in response to one of your callers, Gene.
Gene, the Christian anarchist who wants to have a Break the Law Day where every day a new law will be announced by someone who apparently has a lot of obedient followers who want to break whatever laws the person says.
And at some point, you're either going to have to, start repeating things or get very specific to a very, location or something, because there's only so many things that would wind up being, consistent law across the country or federal law
so go
that
ahead,
doesn't
Brian.
have, felony.
With your thoughts, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out how ridiculous and confused you guys are. I mean, so this guy calls in. He's making a claim that laws don't exist, and he tries to differentiate between the authority, the force willing to back up these laws, and the idea of them, right? And you guys are just so quick to agree with this nonsense, and you guys are you're willing to quickly say that laws don't exist and rights do, right? When it's just the opposite.
Nope, you're putting words in my mouth. I've never said that rights exist. I like the idea of rights, and I think people should believe and respect in that particular idea. And I think that laws are words written on, or, what he would describe as laws are indeed words written on paper, but it is a mass hallucination to believe that those things have any actual authority. They are just simply words written by strangers. But if you'd like to continue, we can do that. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Because I understand where Gene is coming from. The idea is that the government doesn't exist. There are just people who believe in it. And the toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. So rights are sort of the same way. Rights don't actually exist, but thankfully there are people who believe in that idea. That's a good idea. Rights are a good idea worth believing in. Government, not so much. This is Free Talk Live.
Removing bad taste and odor from your drinking water is easy. Removing the bad stuff you don't taste is what ProPure does best. Water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure countertop, inline, gravity, and household water filtration products. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or call 800-544-3533.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. Following yesterday's huge increases, early Friday has gold $9 lower at $1,238 per ounce. Silver is down 4 cents at $15.77 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $382 US. Find out how you can diversify into physical gold and silver to protect yourself. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
The warning signs.
First, he made me feel special. He promised he'd look after me, provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me. About my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right.
Stop the insanity of voting for the same old abusers. Declare your independence from the two-party system and join the New Hampshire Liberty Party today at nhliberty.info.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio here, toll-free 855-450-FREE. You can call us out if you want to. That's certainly acceptable. Call in about anything that happens to be on your mind. You can join us online as well over at freetalklive.com. All of the features on our site we give away. Also, giveaway all the videos from Keenvention, the yearly convention that happens in the fall here in New Hampshire. So there's some really great events that happen throughout the year here. The Liberty Forum's coming up this week in Manchester. Then this summer, you've got the Porcupine Freedom Festival that will be happening in the northern portion of the state. In the fall, there's Keenvention, now entering its 4th year here in 2016. And it's happening November 4th through the 6th. The announcement just came out yesterday officially. And you, if you are a Free Talk Live listener, get $5 off your early bird ticket price. The pre-order tickets are available. $50 is the regular pre-order price. Knock $5 off of that by using code FTL when you check out through Eventbrite at tickets.keenvention.info. That'll take you right to the ticket ordering page, or just go to keenvention.info to learn more about the event. November 4th through the 6th. That's the weekend of the 5th of November. So I think it's going to be a fun Keenvention and a fun Halloween, because Halloween is going to be falling on the 5th of November, which is actually great for libertarians if you think about it, because you can be a cheapskate and buy your Halloween costume afterwards, after Halloween, because then they're all cheap, like 70% off or whatever. And you can also you can actually go to another Halloween party on Halloween, so you don't have to worry about losing your Halloween weekend. You get another great Halloween party during Keenvention. So again, mark your calendar now, November 4th through 6th. Lock your tickets in at keenvention.info. And remember, there are only 100 pre-order tickets available. It's an intimate event. This is not some massive convention like the Liberty Forum is. Liberty Forum's a great event. Don't get me wrong. We're going to be there broadcasting live this week. But there are hundreds of people at Liberty Forum. You can't possibly meet them all. But at Keenvention, it's small. It's like around 100 people that attended last year. And so you absolutely can meet everybody at Keenvention, including dozens of great liberty activists from across New Hampshire. Go to keenvention.info and use code FTL when you order your tickets for $5 savings. Let's go back to Brian. Brian says it's ridiculous to not believe in authority and the state. At least that's my understanding of what you're saying. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I'm just saying it's stupid to ignore the ability and the will to enforce these laws.
I don't think that Gene was ignoring that. I think he was saying that he does not believe in the idea of the state or the idea of authority, and separates the idea from the idea of authority from the idea of the use of force. And I agree with him on that point. I mean, if you think about it, a common thug who puts a gun to you and says, "Hand over your wallet," that thug doesn't have authority. He's just using violence against you. And the idea is that government has authority because it's legitimate use of force against people. And so that's, of course, what Gene and I are rejecting.
And what I was saying was there are a lot of people, judges, police officers, jail guards, etc., that they're going to act as if the law has some kind of authority because they think it does.
Okay, but you just got to admit, as far as authority is concerned, ultimately it comes down to the ability to use force.
No, it comes down to the ability to use force without consequence. Meaning that people will see the use of force by the so-called authority as legitimate, whereas any other time someone robs or beats or murders another person, then most people will see that, if it's just the Crips or the Bloods or just some scumbag who's doing it, they'll see that as not legitimate. But when the government does it, they've got badges, they've got courts, they've got all this window dressing to make people think that there's something other than the largest and most successful criminal gang. That's the idea of authority.
What determines legitimacy? If it's consensus, then it does exist. I don't understand your point there.
Mass hallucination doesn't mean that the thing that is being hallucinated exists.
Isn't that what really gives authority, though, at any one point in time? It doesn't matter.
Yes, the consent of the people who are being ruled, the belief in that authority is why it exists to them, but that doesn't mean it actually exists.
But there are surveys and reports that show that like 62% of Americans say that the federal government does not have the consent of the governed.
That's true.
But yet the federal government,
I don't know
whether people acting on behalf of federal government agencies, they don't care that 62% of the people say you don't have my consent.
And I don't really trust these these statistical things. You've seen what they can do on like a Jay Leno show, right?
Well, I get where you're coming from. It all depends how you ask the question. But it is true. I think it's true that people would say they don't consent, but ultimately they act like they consent because they do what they're told. They don't disobey. They don't, openly, flout the law or whatever. So ultimately, by the fact that they continue to obey, means that they are tacitly consenting to being ruled because they're too afraid of whatever the consequence would be for them to act as though they were free people.
Right, and the people running the federal government say that you're tacitly agreeing because you're still within the jurisdiction that they claim.
No, but that's a point. But earlier you accused me of putting words in your mouth. So let me get this straight. You don't believe people have the right to self-ownership?
Oh no, I do believe in that. Yeah.
Okay, so in a way, you do believe rights exist.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. I believe that the idea of rights are a good, valuable idea that people should internalize, that people should act as though that they exist. They don't actually exist because
they're
it's
not
just
a tangible thing that you can touch.
It's just an idea, okay? So they don't exist.
It doesn't need to be tangible to exist, right?
I think it does. By definition, in order to exist, something needs to be tangible. Yes.
No. You're confusing the adjective right and right as a noun, right? So how can you have something when it's an adjective? You're calling it.
Huh?
This is.
What are you talking about?
You're saying
rights
it's the
are
right
a noun.
Yes, rights is a noun, but you're using it as an adjective. Like this is the right thing to do.
No.
Unless if you're talking about the right thing, that is a noun.
You're talking about two different completely. What you're confusing the idea of rights with the right thing to do. Okay, so there's the right thing to do morally in a given circumstance, and then there's the idea of human rights. Those are two completely different concepts.
I could have sworn that was just the way you just used it.
Nope, I think you're misinterpreting. Thanks for the call, Brian. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Darryl, was I being unclear?
I don't think so, but this is one of the problems with the English language, is to where you have one word that can mean multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's right as in the opposite of left. There's right as in the opposite of wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Not the same thing in either scenario.
And then there's right as in human rights.
Rights as in human rights.
Yeah.
And there really needs to be a different word for each one of those things. But again, English is horrible.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. Doug is in Manchester, New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Doug.
Hey, so you already answered my question before about you do believe in rights, but you just see the state doesn't realize them. Am I correct there?
I don't believe in them and that I think that they're real. I like them as a concept, and I support that concept.
Okay,
I think people should support the idea of rights. I think people should respect the idea of rights, even though there's no evidence that they actually exist.
Yeah. I could say...
Are you on a really bad phone, like a headset or something like that? It's really hard to understand you.
Can you hear me better?
Not really.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, go back to whatever it was, because now we can barely hear you at all.
Sounds like you're talking through a metal tube.
Yeah,
we're going to give you one more chance. And 3, 2, 1. See ya. Sorry, you got to have a good phone if you want to get on the radio. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you've got issues with a bad phone, you can always try Skyping us at Skype username LRN.FM. But, of course, if the microphone on your phone is gunked up or something like that, that's not going to help you either to get on Skype.
Right.
So, yeah, rights, important concept. It's an important idea that humans have created in order to help humans get along better with one another in the future, in order to help humans grow and interact peacefully with one another so we can be more productive and more creative and respectful towards one another. These are valuable concepts. Government is a dangerous concept that gives humans the idea that it's okay to rule with violence over others. So that's an idea that I would like to destroy. This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
Winter has just begun, and are you already tired of being cold? How would you like to never be cold again? This is Dale with Fortress Clothing, and I'm here to tell you, you will never be cold again with Fortress. If you're tired of freezing your butt off, elk hunting, sitting in a tree stand deer hunting, winter camping, fishing, ice fishing, no longer fear the cold. If you snowmobile, ski, snowboard, get Fortress. Sledding with the kids, shoveling the walks, shopping, or if you or your spouse get cold feet at home, get Fortress. If you're stuck outside working in the cold or find yourself in an emergency situation, get our winter bug-out bag, and you will never be cold again. Fortress is the answer, so quit complaining and go to fortressclothing.com. It's a mid-layer garment that goes with anything you want to wear. Enter coupon code RADIO and get 20% off any item. Go now while we still have inventory. fortressclothing.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain, but enough time for you. If you want to join us right now, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. To learn more about the idea of authority being just a dangerous idea instead of something that actually is, I recommend Larkin Rose's book, The Most Dangerous Superstition. And what that book is about is the superstition of authority. And he explains why it's a superstition and that, you know, we need to stop believing in that stuff. It's a great book. I read it while I was in jail for civil disobedience. I forget who it was that sent it to me, but thank you to whoever that person was. It's still in the jail, by the way. All the great books that people had donated to me and Rich Paul and Derek J. while we were all inside the Cheshire County House of Corrections. They're all still there, and they show up on the book cart. So lots of other of the prisoners there have been enjoying the work of Larkin Rose and Taryn Lupo and other great liberty-oriented authors. Milton Friedman, I believe. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. You can join us here. Any comments further on the issue, Darryl, or should we talk more Myers-Briggs?
Let's talk more Myers-Briggs.
Myers-Briggs, for those of you just tuning in, we started a story a little while back tonight from Vox.com, which is actually really detailed, and we're not going to get into the full thing here in the remaining moments. So we're going to link to the full story over on our Facebook and Twitter, and you can dig into this. In fact, there's data and links to studies in here that, ostensibly prove the claims that the Myers-Briggs test is basically total BS. It was started in the 1940s by a couple of women who had no formal training in psychology. They created this test, which, as Vox points out, uses these false limited binaries to try to categorize people who, when further testing has been done, they found that half of the people who take this test, if they take it a second time within a few weeks, they score differently on the test. Now, your question was, well, how differently do they score? And you'd have to read the studies to get that level of detail from this. But nonetheless, let's suffice it to say here that the Myers-Briggs test is largely disregarded by psychologists, and they're going into some of the reasons for that. It talks about how this false choice of, you're either yes or no answering these questions throughout this 90-something question test, makes people make hard decisions when they might not necessarily be firmly one direction or the other.
I do think that something that would be a lot more accurate would be have a list of things and say select all that
Pick
apply.
For all four of the categories in Myers-Briggs, says Vox, suffer from these kinds of problems, and psychologists say they aren't an effective way of distinguishing between different personality types. Quote, contemporary social scientists are rarely studying things like whether you make decisions based on feelings or rational calculus, because all of us use both of these. These categories all create dichotomies, but the characteristics on either end are either independent from each other or sometimes they go hand in hand. Even the data from Myers-Briggs' own test shows that most people are somewhere in the middle for any one category and just end up being pigeonholed into one or the other. This is why some psychologists have shifted from talking about personality traits to personality states, and why it's extremely hard to find a real psychologist anywhere who uses the Myers-Briggs with patients. There's also another related problem with these limited choices. Look at there's a chart that they include here, and you'll notice that words like selfish, lazy, or mean don't appear anywhere. No matter what type you're assigned, you get a flattering description of yourself as a thinker, performer, or a nurturer. This isn't a test designed to accurately categorize people, but rather a test designed to make them feel happy after taking it. And this is one of the reasons it has persisted for so many years in the corporate world, even after being disregarded by psychologists. And the Myers-Briggs provides inconsistent, inaccurate results. Theoretically, people might still get value out of Myers-Briggs if it accurately indicated on which end of a spectrum they were closest for any given category. But the problem with the idea is that the fact that the test is notoriously inconsistent. Research has found that as many as 50% of people arrive at a different result the second time they take the test, even if it's just 5 weeks later. That's because the traits it aims to measure aren't the ones that are consistently different among people. Most of us vary in these traits over time, depending on our mood when we take the test, for instance. We may or may not think that we sympathize with people, but the test simply tells us whether we're thinking or feeling based on how we answer a handful of binary questions with no room in between. Another indicator that the Myers-Briggs is inaccurate is that several different analyses have shown it's not particularly effective at predicting people's success at different jobs. If the test gives people such inaccurate results, why do so many still put stock in it? One reason is that the flattering, vague descriptions for many of the types that have huge amounts of overlap. So many people could fit into several of them. This is called the Forer effect, and it's a technique long used by purveyors of
astrology.
Exactly. Astrology, fortune-telling, and other pseudoscience.
And I didn't know that people were actually putting stock in any kind of personality test of, oh, you scored this, so therefore you must go into this field, and then I'm going to hire you and make you the executive vice president of my company because you scored a certain way on this test.
It's amazing, isn't it? Now, I didn't know that myself, but I know that when I took the test as a kid, it seemed like, this is an authority, right? Like I was just a kid when I took the test, and, well, there's the results. This is what you are, kid. And that's kind of a dangerous thing, I think. Yeah. To pigeonhole someone, especially at an early age, into thinking, oh, well, I'm an introvert, so now I'm an introvert for all time, which I know is not true now.
Right.
But I don't know at what point in my life I gave that idea up. It must have been when I was an adult at some point. The Myers-Briggs test is largely disregarded by psychologists, and all of this is why psychologists, the people who focus on understanding and analyzing human behavior, almost completely disregard Myers-Briggs in contemporary research. Search for any prominent psychology journal for analysis of personality tests, and you'll find mentions of several different systems that have been developed in the decades since that test was introduced, but not Myers-Briggs itself. Apart from a few analyses finding it to be flawed, virtually no major psychology journals have published research on the test. Almost all of it comes from dubious outlets like the Journal of Psychological Type, which were specifically created for this type of research. CPP, the company that now publishes the test, remember they took over during the 1970s, has 3 leading psychologists on their board, but none of them have used it whatsoever in their research. Carl Thorson, Stanford psychologist and CPP board member, admitted to the Washington Post in an article in 2012 saying, quote, "It would be questioned by my academic colleagues," unquote. Apart from the introversion-extroversion aspect of Myers-Briggs, the newer empirically driven tests focus on entirely different categories. The 5-factor model measures people's openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism, factors that do differ widely among people, according to actual data collected. And there's some evidence this scheme may have some predictive power in determining people's ability to be successful at various jobs and in other situations. But one thing it doesn't have is the marketing machine that surrounds the Myers-Briggs. And the Myers-Briggs is useful for one thing: entertainment. There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking the test as a fun, interesting activity like a BuzzFeed quiz. But there is something wrong with CPP peddling the test as a, quote, "reliable and valid, backed by ongoing global research and development investment," unquote. The company makes an estimated $20 million annually with Myers-Briggs as its flagship product. Among other things, they charge between $15 and $40 to each person who wants to take the test, and $1,700 to each person who wants to become a certified test administrator.
I've never paid to take that test.
Yeah, me neither. Why would someone pay this much to administer a flawed test? Because once you have that title, you can then sell your services as a career coach to both people looking for work and the thousands of major companies such as McKinsey & Co., General Motors, and a reported 89 out of the Fortune 100 that use the test to separate employees and potential hires into types and assign them appropriate training programs and responsibilities. Once certified, test administrators become cheerleaders of the Myers-Briggs, ensuring that use of the outdated instrument is continued. If private companies want to throw their money away on Myers-Briggs, that's their prerogative, but about 200 federal agencies also reportedly waste money on the test too, including the State Department and the CIA. The military in particular relies heavily on Myers-Briggs, and the EPA has given it to about a quarter of its 17,000 employees.
Well, I'd rather them pay to administer this test than killing people.
Yeah, well, they're doing that too. Don't worry. The amount of money they're spending on Myers-Briggs is a drop in the bucket compared to the amount that they're spending on dropping bombs on people.
True, but it's at least, 1 or maybe 2 drone operators.
It's 2015. Thousands of professional psychologists have evaluated the century-old Myers-Briggs, almost, found it to be inaccurate and arbitrary, and devised better systems for evaluating personality. Let's stop using this outdated test, which has about as much scientific validity as your astrological sign, and move on to something else. And I have to agree, but I didn't know any of this until I actually happened to stumble across this story on social media the other day. And so thanks to Vox.com for writing that piece up, and I thought it was very well done. We actually did get through the whole thing, but we'll still link to it for you so you can dig into the details, because they link to studies, and if you really want to get into the details, you can do that here over at our Facebook and our Twitter. And don't forget to check Darryl out on his website, fpp.cc and fppradio.com. And don't forget to visit freetalklive.com, where you can become an amplifier and help support the show at amp.freetalklive.com. We'll see you tomorrow.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people, where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45 non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50 non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-872-0403, 800-872-0403, 800-872-0403.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM. The latest edition of Anarchast is next on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Get more at Anarchast.com.
Hey everybody. everybody. Welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I have a great guest coming in from Bratislava in Slovakia, a great place if you haven't been there. And his name is Pavel Luptak. He's one of the people who hosts a conference, a crypto-anarchist conference called Perolopolis in Prague, Czech Republic. And it's been going on for a couple years now, and a lot of past Anarchast guests have been there, including Suzanne Tarkowski-Tempelhoff I saw was there, and a number of other people involved in the Bitcoin and crypto anarchy community. He's also involved in a number of other things. Very interesting guy. And he'll also be speaking at the upcoming Anarchapulco conference in February in Acapulco, Mexico. We're going to get into all kinds of really interesting stuff about crypto anarchy, about cryptocurrencies, about decentralization. And a lot of this is very potentially profitable. There's a ton of potentially massive amounts of money to be made in this area. This is really where the future is going. So really happy to have Pavel on because he's a real expert in this area, and he also runs the, as you could tell by his T-shirt, the Institute of Crypto Anarchy. So Pavel, great to have you on. And the first question I have to ask you, though, is how did you become a crypto anarchist?
Thanks a lot for a comprehensive introduction. By the way, in addition to my T-shirt, maybe you should notice my wall behind me, which is anarcho-capitalist, like
black and yellow, nice.
Black and yellow, yeah. Yeah, this is not a coincidence, by the way. Anyway, so how I became crypto-anarchist. I'm computer security guy. So I study computer security 15 years ago, and also I have a